There are many people filled with fear, uncertainty, and doubt when it comes to EVs. Many myths and misconceptions are passed around as fact. In some cases, these are perpetuated by people and organizations that have an axe to grind against EV adoption. And in other cases, it comes from well-intentioned people who believe the misconceptions because they sound reasonable. EVs cause more pollution to manufacture, so it's not worth it compared to a gasoline car. My cell phone battery is pretty much dead after a few years, so of course an EV battery won't last. Some of these feel true, so it's easy to buy into the FUD. With Tesla selling record numbers of EVs, should they even care about this misinformation hurting sales? And with competitors like Jaguar, Audi, and VW starting to roll out their own EVs, there's a lot more traditional mainstream advertising kicking into gear. Tesla has always relied on word-of-mouth advertising to get the word out, and Elon is very vocal about his distaste for advertising.
Advertising can be quite strident, so it just tends to be sort of bad. So I don't like advertising for that reason.
Is it time for Tesla to go more on the offensive and combat misinformation and advertise? Before I dive in, take a moment and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos just like this one. I'm Matt Ferrell. Welcome to Undecided. I've been struggling with this topic for weeks now. Between Tesla's stock falling to some shocking lows and the drumbeat of articles purporting that Tesla was seeing a demand problem, I knew I wanted to make a video about this. But something just wasn't clicking for me. Is Tesla doomed? No. Is the falling stock a reason to run for the hills? No. But why were these things happening and what could be done about it? If you watch my videos, you know I love my data and research. Everything I was seeing showed me that these events weren't anything rational, but I still wasn't sure how to approach a video on the topic with a different perspective. That's until one of my Patreon subscribers brought up all of the advertising he was starting to see for cars like the Audi e-tron. He was pushing the topic of Tesla needing to advertise to combat the upcoming competition, which is when something finally started to click for me around this video topic. It's all interwoven and part of the same narrative. Does Tesla need to start fighting back? And if so, how? For all of Tesla's history, they've relied on word of mouth as the primary means of marketing. Customer stories and referrals is how Tesla has grown. It's a grassroots method of growing awareness around a company. In 2013, Tesla was a cash-strapped upstart that couldn't go toe-to-toe with big automotive advertising, even if they wanted to. They needed to funnel every dollar they could into the design and manufacturing of their cars. But 6 years later, they're still reliant on that same mode of marketing. One of Elon's main points for not advertising is that there isn't a demand problem. And the numbers they just released for Q2 showcase that. With totals of 95,200 cars delivered in the quarter, they just achieved a new record. They're increasing the rate that they can manufacture cars, but still struggle to keep up with demand. That's a nice problem to have and one that indicates that there isn't a huge need to start advertising. You'd be generating more interest and demand in a product that you wouldn't be able to scale at the same rate. At least not yet. This is where things get a little complicated because there's a lot of ways you can advertise. We could be talking about TV ads, print ads in newspapers and magazines, posters at bus stops and train stations, the sides of buses, and the list goes on. I think most people when they talk about Tesla getting into advertising are referring to traditional media spots like TV. If that's the case, we're looking at $33.8 billion that are spent for traditional automotive advertising across 10 countries. 54.5% of that goes to television. The problem with traditional advertising, though, is the return on investment. Television advertising is expensive, and it can't be targeted as well as digital, like online video and social media services. According to the Interactive Advertising Bureau, or the IAB, which sets all of the online advertising standards and the dealer socket data that's available, it costs $150 of digital marketing to sell one car, compared to $1,581 of traditional media. If you stick with conventional methods, you'll pay 10 times more than necessary. So should they do it? Well, if you're looking at it from Elon's perspective, then no, not yet. They're selling cars as fast as they can make them, and increasing demand would create customer relations issues by increasing wait times for new cars. But I think that's missing the emotional angle of the story. There are people putting off buying a Tesla because of the volatile stock market numbers and negative media coverage. Financial analysts who don't understand what Tesla is trying to pull off, and instead reading into things like the Tesla Autonomy Day event as a move of desperation. With the code red situation at Tesla, Musk and company are expanding into insurance, robotaxis, and other sci-fi projects and endeavors, when the company instead should be laser-focused on shoring up core demand for Model 3 and simplifying its business model and expense structure in our opinion, with headwinds abound. Analysis like that is completely ignoring the fact that Tesla has been working on autonomy for years, speaking about it openly, and was updating investors on how things are progressing. And when internal emails leak about how Elon is trying to retrain the company from a startup mentality to a more cost-conscious mentality in order to rein in operations costs, it's again misinterpreted and reported in the media as the sky is falling event. It's an easy headline to say that Tesla will be broke in 10 months, but it's harder to capture the nuance of what he is actually saying and doing. It's sensationalized reporting. Then layer on top of that all of the stories about Tesla's bursting into flames. This has been a tried and true news grabber anytime you see it, and it makes sense why it does. It's scary, and it gets views, and it also leaves out a lot of context. Business Insider cataloged 20 incidents since 2013. Compare that to over 90 BMWs spontaneously bursting into flames in the US just last year alone, with even more around the world. Or that BMW then recalled over 1 million cars to address the issue. Back to Tesla, there was rampant coverage of 2 battery fires in Asia earlier this year. These fires were alarming because the cars were spontaneously combusting much like the BMWs, but the level of coverage was out of proportion between the two. In the end, Tesla was able to push a software update out of an abundance of caution. No recall needed. I understand why EVs catch the headlines. They can't be extinguished like a typical car fire. The media coverage helps to perpetuate the perception that Teslas aren't safe because they easily catch on fire, all of the time. And then there's the EV competition that's starting to hit the market. This is absolutely a good thing. We need more choices on the market, more takes on what makes a good EV, more competition to help push the industry and to speed up the transition off of fossil fuels. These established automotive players are launching cars using methods from their typical playbook, which involves a lot of advertising, like Audi advertising the e-tron during the Super Bowl, and more recently an amusing commercial around the benefits of an EV. The media blitz continues with print ads too. So did the advertising work? Did it make a difference? Well, in May, Audi sold 856 e-trons in the US, which is about 4.5% of all of their US sales. The following month, they sold 726 at about 3.7% of all their US sales. Compare the e-tron sales numbers to the Model X for the same month at 2,725. And remember that both the Model X and S have been in a slump recently for their sales numbers. I'm not knocking the Audi e-tron, but this all reminds me of a comparison I know many of you will hate. Tesla and Apple. Back when Apple was dominating the market with the iPod, there was constant coverage of the next iPod killer coming onto the market. Then there was the iPhone, and the same thing happened for years. I think Tesla is in a similar situation here with the Model 3, and probably the Model Y too. Chamath Palihapitiya said it so well on his CNBC appearance.
Competition is coming. If it's not already here, that gives you no pause?
You're right, because I remember all the Zune media players I bought after Apple released the iPod. I also remember the enormous number of amazing smartphones I bought when the iPhone was launched. It's not what people do. You know, it tends to be the case that when you redefine expectations and you have a category leader and you have an indelible brand and a mark that people recognize, the easiest decision, let me be a little pejorative, the lazy decision is to pick the winner and go with it. And in this case, there is a clear winner in electrification. It is done. That die has been cast.
So do I think they should take a page from the auto industry and use the same advertising tactics? Absolutely not. They have a first mover advantage in the market. They have a technology advantage compared to the competition with the most energy efficient motors and battery packs. And it looks like we'll be getting an update on the next generation battery and drivetrain later this year. Tesla has a massive advantage on the competition that they're rushing to try to catch up. Will they? At some point, yes. But until then, there's no reason for Tesla to do traditional advertising. However, I do think Tesla should start getting strategic with digital advertising to help combat misinformation and to educate. With online platforms, you can target very specific groups. So Tesla could zero in on people that have shown an interest in EVs but are hesitant. They could promote their amazing NHTSA safety testing results. Teslas have the lowest probability of injury of all cars tested. They could highlight the extensive supercharger network, which is a huge competitive advantage that they have over all of the competition. Outside of digital advertising, they could hold test drive events to entice people to come out, ask questions, meet owners, and try all the different cars. And they could provide a centralized resource to bust all of the myths and misinformation that Elon mentioned while he brainstormed in real time during the last shareholders meeting.
We'll definitely provide people with clear rebuttals of the disinformation. That's a good idea. Because we've done it piecemeal, but there's not really like a page that just debunks the myths. You could kind of have to put it together from a number of comments that we've made over time. But we could put it all together on one page and sort of debunk the myth. This would be pretty good. Right.
The disinformation campaign against Tesla is something I've been wrestling with as a video topic idea for a long time. And thanks to the push on Tesla needing to advertise as another topic, I realized there's a tight connection between the two. Tesla has been fighting against these forces with one arm tied behind their back. Tesla fans have been fighting on their behalf, taking friends and family out for drives in their cars to show them what makes a Tesla special, showing people that it's possible to drive long road trips across the country and back, showing them that people can drive them in cold places, showing people that there's so much more to them than just driving fast. Tesla needs to untie their hands and start getting creative, putting that same level of ingenuity that they've put into designing and building their cars into being disruptive in how you advertise cars in the 21st century. Advertising can't just be logical arguments to convince someone that EVs work. It has to make an emotional connection to break through that fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So what do you think? Should Tesla advertise or stay the course? Jump into the comments and let me know. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends, because it really does help support the channel. And there's some other ways to support the channel too. Check out my SFSF shop for some Tesla, SpaceX, Science, and Undecided t-shirts. There's also some links in the description for some great Tesla accessories and discounts. And as always, an extra big thank you to my Patreon supporters. Your support is really helping to make these videos possible, and as you saw here, an interesting video topic came from Patreon too. Be sure to check out my Patreon page for additional details about joining the crew. If you haven't already, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell to get alerts when I post new videos. And as always, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.